First you need a ½ yard of fabric. You can use you can use broadcloth, you can use muslin. This is muslin. You can also use felt. Felt comes in several colors. You can get it in a flesh color if you want. Muslin comes in white or usually this off-color ecru, which is very much like flesh. So, but anyway, you need about a ½ yard of fabric. You need a piece of plastic cut from anything. A milk carton, soda bottle, preferably flat. Milk cartons are better for that. This is fabric I made from a plastic bag. There's a video on how to make plastic. I have a video on that for when I made the Beretta. And I just had some left over and I cut a piece of that. It doesn't have to be very thick. It shouldn't be really thin either though, but this isn't bad. So you need a piece of plastic. You really need only about 1 inch wide, but a piece of plastic. You need 4 sets of doll joints. This is for the shoulders and the hips. The doll joints come with a plastic head and a rubber washer. They're kind of like those safety eyes things, only it's not an eye on this end, it's just flat. And this will snap over the bottom. Alternatively, if you don't have these, you can use buttons. The button works too. It's not as good. You won't have the mobility in the joint, as much mobility in the joint as you would with this, but a button will work. You need 4 plastic bobbins. Now, if you don't have plastic bobbins, you can go with a wooden ball. It needs to be about ½ inch, about the same size as this. The ball has a hole that goes all the way through it, just as the bobbin does. I like the bobbins because of the flatness of the sides. These are for the elbows and knees. And as opposed to the doll joints, which are for the shoulders and hips. These, you can go with the ball if you don't have plastic bobbins. Don't use the cardboard bobbins. Again, the doll may need to be washed at some point, and that's why you don't want it. You could use cardstock for this, but I wouldn't, because again, if it has to be washed, the cardstock will deteriorate, so this we're using plastic. The same with this. You could use, they have paper bobbins, cardboard bobbins, but I wouldn't use those. Go with a regular bobbin or a wooden ball. They also have smaller wooden balls. Either size would work. I like the larger one. It's about the same size as these, and so they work better. You also need my doll joints, by the way, I got off, I think from Amazon. I got 50 sets. They're rather inexpensive, but you may not need that many. I'm doing this with a class for kids, so I do need that many. You also need 5 magnets. Now this is an optional thing. You can live without these, but for your doll to be able to do all the things that you would want it to do, you need 5 magnets. 2 will go in the hands, 2 will go in the feet, and 1 will go in the chest. You can get 14 of these from Dollar Tree. They're nice size. They're small. very thin, and you get 14 for $1. So not a bad deal. You need 6 inches of a wooden dowel. This is going to be the backbone of your doll, and you can get them at Joann's or craft stores. Wooden dowels, usually 10 to a package. They're 12 inches long, so you'll cut it in half and get a 6-inch piece. You have enough for $2. These are 1/4 of an inch. They come in different widths, but I like the 1/4 of an inch. It fits the bobbins nicely. And if it's thinner than that, okay, come on. Oh, wait a minute. It doesn't go on this. It goes on, it's going to be going on your this is the next thing you need. You need a spool of thread. You can use this type, but this type I like better, and because it's wider at the bottom, this type will work. We're going to end up breaking off the top of this, but we're going to keep the bottom. This type will work. It does, it has enough of a hold here that it won't come out of the doll's body, but this has more of a grip. Can you use, what if you don't have any spools like this? Most threads come on these type of spools now. These happen to be Mettler, but Gutermann and you can't use the regular, this type of spool. You can't use this type of spool. It's just too big. It's this size, this part. You'll notice both of these are the same size in the middle. It's this part that we need. This is what fits the stick, and it's just the right width for the neck of the doll. The weakest part on a doll is its neck, and this keeps the neck nice and sturdy. It's not going to go flopping around after a while, even with play. And because we're using spools, we'll be able to rotate the head in one direction or the other. And so that's why I'm using spools. Now, if you don't have a spool, alternatively, you can get these little ones at Joann's, which happen to be the same size, generally, as the middle of this. And it will fit on your thing there. This one, this tends to be a little bit, I think it's probably that's, yeah, it's that stick. It doesn't seem to feel really round. It feels like it's wider one section than another. But this will work. So you can use, if you don't have one of these, you can use these wooden spools. So you need that. And that's all you need to make the doll, the actual materials for making the doll. Oh, one more thing. You do need either print and press, these are iron-on transfer papers, or computer printer paper. You're going to use these to print the face, one or the other, not both. If you're getting the cut and sew design from me, you won't need the fabric and you won't need these, but you still will need all of these things. You won't need the fabric and you won't need this, because these will come together. You get the fabric and the face already printed. These you're going to have to print your face. So you can either print it on the fabric and just cut it out and use it that way, or you can print it on transfer paper, in which case you need to iron you take this paper, turn it upside down on your fabric, another piece of muslin, iron it, and it transfers the image to the fabric. Either one of these will work, but you need something for to transfer your face. So that's what you need to make the actual doll, the materials. Now, equipment that you'll use when making it. You'll need scissors. You'll need, you may need paper scissors and fabric scissors to cut your pattern out or to cut your fabric. You need needles and thread for the hand sewing part. Thread should match your fabric. What size eye of the needle, it doesn't matter, whatever is comfortable for you. You'll need pins. You'll need pins to pin your fabric, your pattern to your fabric. And you'll need a marker, either a chalk marker, or I use up this pen. This is actually, you get this from Office Place, like Office Depot or Office Max. This is called Friction Clicker. It's a gel pen put out by Pilot. It's a regular writing pen, an erasable writing pen. There's an eraser on this end, but it's this. The nice thing about this pen, another lady showed me this who sews. The nice thing about this pen is you can mark fabric. When you mark your fabric, heat from the iron will erase it. You can also erase it with the eraser on the other end. But actually the heat from the iron will take it out. And that makes it nice. But you can use chalk. You'll need something for making holes. Because you're going to have to punch holes in your doll to thread the string, ribbon, whatever it is that's holding it together. So this is an awl. That's what it's for. It's for punching holes. But if you don't have an awl, you could use a good size seam ripper. I would use this type instead of this type. This type is a little too wide and doesn't really, because of the way it's shaped, doesn't really work well for punching holes. But this one has a nice long point for punching holes in your fabric. And so you'll need an awl or a seam ripper for that. And you also need, I don't have it here with me, but you need some ribbon. This is like 1/8 inch satin ribbon. You either need ribbon or string or crochet thread or dental floss, something to tie your doll together. The joints are going to be tied here, here. So you need something to do that. So I suggest a dental floss is really good for this sort of thing. It does not break easily, and it does grip because of the wax on it. It's easy to form knots that don't slip. Dental floss, string, crochet thread. On the thicker side, not really tiny crochet thread, but maybe say like a 30 weight. Embroidery thread, 6-ply would work too, or ribbon. So that's what you need to make. Oh, and you'll also need some fabric glue. This is Fabri-Tac, but there are other types of fabric glue. Don't get the white kind. Get the clear adhesive type. This is Beacon's Fabri-Tac, and I've used it before. You've seen me use it in other things. It's thick, it dries quickly, but not too quickly. And it doesn't run. It won't make your fabric really wet. I noticed that Crafter's Square at Dollar Tree also has an adhesive, a clear adhesive, that I think will work too. I'm going to try it with this doll, so we'll see. But those are the things that you're going to need well, besides a sewing machine and iron, you're going to need to make this doll. Okay, step number 1 is laying out your fabric and cutting out. Take note that I fold it in half because a lot of these pieces need to be cut. You need 2 or 4 pieces for the lower arms, for the upper arm, for the thigh. You need 4 of each. So for the head, the crotch, the body, the waist, the lower leg. Now there's 2 lower legs. One has this and one has this. You're going to need to cut 2 of each. Cut 2 of each. They go together, but what's going to happen is this is going to form the big toe, and so you need 2 of this one and 2 of this one. So there's 2 of this, and I need to cut 2 of this. This one is only cut 1, but it needs to be cut on a fold. So you fold your fabric, and you're going to cut this one on the fold. This piece is for the plastic. You'll place this on your plastic, trace around it, or just pin it and cut it. You need 1 piece of plastic cut. All right, so all of these are cut except I need to cut one more leg. And let's see here. Will this fit in here? Actually, I think I can fit it. I can fit it in there. Yes. And so we'll do it this way. You also want to make sure that your pieces are laying on the grain. The arrow marks the grain of the fabric. So put your piece so the arrow is either going straight up and down, either this way or this way. I'm going with the grain this way. And now your seam allowance is already on these pieces. Okay, so now I have all the pieces cut out. I didn't show you myself cutting out all the pieces because that's should easy. All right, it's good. You need your marker to transfer these dots to your, now I'm just poking a hole right in the middle of this circle, And these darts here, this is a dart. This dotted line area here, we're going to fold it over. So you need to mark the beginning and end of it, and the wide parts of it. And then you'll have to come back and draw your dart in. Now you turn it over and do the same thing, because you want a right and a left. So there's my middle. This is where these dots mark where the opening is going to be, where I'm going to be stuffing it. And this is the end. You can poke through the pattern if you find, I find that easier. So now I just need to connect these dots. Now, you could cut this out, but I don't. So you have this one and this one. What I'm going to do is fold this over so the edges meet, the ends meet. So I know my end is right here, and this end is right here. And the edge meets in the middle. Actually, I'm going to do it the other direction. I'm going to fold it this way so that the markings are on the inside of the doll, just in case they don't come out, which they will, but it also makes it a little bit easier to match things. Okay, so, and this should be the middle of both sides. Alright, so I've got that one marked, and now I'm going to do the same with this one. Mark both ends and then come back and find the middle. And I'm going to sew this first. So both of these. While I'm at it, I think I'm going to go ahead and I might as well do the same thing to the head. Alright, here's the head. Alright, so we're going to do the same thing. I'll take these. Now I cut this one out, but I really don't like to do that. It's better if I, let me just, since I have more fabric here, I'm just going to cut an two more. I don't like that. Because then that takes seam allowance. And you're working on really small scale. Okay, so all right, so here's the head. Let me put this aside. Here's the head, and these also need to be marked and folded. So there's a fold here. There's a diamond here. This is what makes the cheek puffy. This is what gives the shape to the head, forehead, bridge of the nose. All right, so take that and so this is one triangle. This is the diamond. This is the other triangle. And this is the back of the head triangle. All right, now I'm going to turn it over and do the same thing. You always do a right and a left. All right, so this dot, this dot, this dot, and a diamond. Okay, so here's the diamond. Here's the triangle, triangle, and triangle. Okay, so now we need to make them. So again, I'm going to do it like this. Find the dot, match up the other ends of that, and put a pin in the, do that near the dot. So find the dot at the point, find the other two ends, let them meet them, get them to meet, and then put a pin along the edge. Now, the diamond, you're going to want to match this side to this side. And sometimes that's best done by putting a pin through both of those and then sliding them together. Then find the points and straighten the points out. And once you have that, you can put a pin. I'm going to put a pin on both sides of this. I would sew this diamond first because it's going to be, the pins for it are going to be in the way of at least one of the triangles, if not two of them. All right, so it looks strange, but it will. You'll see what it is later. This is what gives your head its roundness and cheeks. All right, so we're going to put right there. Okay, so we'll put that aside and we'll do the same with this one. Point, put the point together, match the two ends, and put a pin in it. Point, not even on the camera. Point the ends, I hate bent pins. it, and another point, match the ends, pin it. Now what I was talking about with the diamond, if I didn't get it in the camera before, I'm going to take a pin, put it through this point, and then come up at this point over here, and then squeeze those 2 points together. Now find the point place here where it's comes to a point. I can take that pin out now, and I'm going to put it in this side of that. And then I got to make sure this point comes to a point, and I'll put another pin down here. So I'm going to sew all of these. These all have all of these darts. We'll come back. The arms, legs, thighs, crotch, none of these have any of these darts. So these, and then come back. All right, doing the face. You print. I'm going to do the print and press. This one, I printed it off on paper, and I just cut it roughly out. The image gets printed on the shiny side, the coated side. The colored side, which in this case is yellow, is the wrong side. So first you have to kind of preheat the fabric to make sure there's no moisture in it. Make sure your iron is not on steam. And it should take 10 to 15 seconds according to the directions. Just keep going over it. It's on a medium high. The iron's on a medium high. Now, if you peel it off now, it'll be matte. If you wait until it's cool and you peel it, you'll get shiny. At least that's what it says. And so I'm going to peel it. Okay. So there's what it looks like. Now I need to, don't need the iron anymore for this. I'm going to cut it out. That is myself, I prefer printing on the fabric, directly printing right on the fabric. But I wanted to give you options. This area where I'm going to Put a pin from one side, like I did with the diamond on the other one, to the other, and then pull them closed. And I need to mark where the bottom is, right here, and the top. Now the sides should fold together. If you'll know, you should have matched up if your edges match. And you should be able to see that in there, where the top of the diamond is, if you don't. So I'm going to mark this with a pen just so that I can make sure that I'm getting it right. Let's pull this out. Okay, so it's here to here to here. This diamond right here. All right, so I'm going to sew that, and then we'll come back and start putting the head together. Okay, so we have this, we have the other two parts of your head, and the two parts of your body. So we'll start with cutting off all these threads. Now you could press these darts, but they're so very tiny. I mean, if it annoys you, you can press them flat. You can trim off the extra fabric if you want to. I wouldn't. To me, I think that just weakens it. In this case, they're so small. There's not really a lot of excess fabric. So, now the face has this little, I would just simply make a little clip in it. I would not cut the fabric away, and I wouldn't cut too much, just so it has something there. It's going to pop this direction. It's going to give you your chin and your neck. Of course, you're going to stuff this, and that'll make it all come out better. All right, so first thing we're going to do is put right sides together, and we're going to sew from the point of the head of the head down the back of the neck. But not all the way, just as far as this dart. You could, all right, let's do it all the way. We'll do all the way. I like to leave a little bit of room there, but just go ahead and do that. So I'm going to sew that. Okay, so that's the back of your head. Now, you're going to attach the face. First of all, you're going to sew the face together. Go back to here. You're going to sew the face together up to this point. This is the point where all three sides meet. So what you're doing here is you're going to sew this whole edge up to that point. Okay, so now you have your chin, your nose, your forehead, this on the face. Now we need to attach that to here. You're going to go to this, put them together with the points, this fold to this fold here, and match and follow your edge around. Now you're going to have to push this back out to get it to go. So they kind of fit, they cup inside one another. Now this part here, this scoop here, is going to meet this scoop here. So you'll know you're on track if you put those two together. And then this cheek part should match each other. If you have any extra fabric, push it up into that dart, because that's what happened was you didn't take enough fabric in your dart. But don't worry, this is in the edge, the hairline, and you're not going to see anything. All right, now I'm going to do the same on this side. I'll be sewing on this side, so I'll put the pins on this side. I'm going to match this cut at the bottom. It's my neck. And then come up here to the cheek. And to the top end. Follow the edge down. Again, you want to push the one inside the other. They cup each other. That way you'll know that you're not stretching everything out too much. The darts have a little piece of fabric that hangs out. Don't worry about that. Just skip over it. You're matching the edges, not the dart thing. I mean, we could have cut that off. And get into here. Again, I want to make sure you cupped this in here. your fabrics are even. Okay. On the edge. All right, and then I'm just going to sew. I'm just going to sew up one side and down the other. Just go all the way around. Missing a pin up here. Okay, and I think I got everything pinned. All right, so I just go up one side and down the other, and then turn it right side out, and we'll put the body together. Okay. You're going to go, the best thing I could say is just go very slowly so that you can skip your pins, that you're staying within your seam allowance, that you're not catching more fabric than you need to, because there is a lot of fabric pulled into here and you just don't want it falling down in your line of sewing. So make sure you sew slowly so you can keep everything up out of the way. All right, so now I'm going to turn it right side out. Okay. And there's your head. Pull your neck down. Now, the next thing we need to do, we're going to do the body, but we should probably put the spool in your head. Oh, man, don't need all this. We still have thread on the spool. This is old thread. It's pretty rotten. Just pull it off, throw it away. Now the other thing I'm going to need to do, as I say, if you're using the small ones, you won't have to do this, but if you're using a wide one like this, a big one, you will. All right, you're going to need a pair of pliers, something. We're going to have to break this top off. Now you're just grabbing it with pliers and pulling it will break it. It's cheap plastic. And once you get it off, you could go over it with a piece of sandpaper if you wanted to, but I don't find that necessary because it's going to be stuffed in your head. All right. I didn't mention with the things that you're going to need some stuffing. Polyester fiber fill is best. Alright, so for stuffing it, you're going to need some polyester fiber fill or cotton or something. I like the fiber fill. You're not going to need a lot. This probably would be enough. I might need a little bit more than this. Alright. I'm going to put it on the stick this way. And then we're going to wrap fiber fill around the top of this. Get a good padding of it up there. We don't, actually, I think I'm going to take this off. I'm going to poke some of this into the top of the head first, because you don't want your stick poking through your head. This is the end, the flat end is the end that would go into your head. The part that you cut off will go into your body. All right, so get a good amount of stuffing in there. Okay. Now I'm going to also stuff it down into my face because once you get the spool in there, you're going to limit the amount of room you have to work with. So let's stuff your face. You can use your finger, you can use the wooden dowel to get it into all the spaces, because you want to make sure you pop your nose out. Use small pieces, don't use a huge amount at one time. Small pieces to fit in all the little spaces. It's better to use lots of little ones than one big one and have huge spaces in there that will distort later. Okay, so you want to poke it up into the head. It's going to hang down here, and that's fine. You want that. You want it to go up in the head. Make sure there's padding on the top of it. It's not going anywhere. And now you're going to continue to stuff around it. If you may need to pull that out and stuff some more. If you can't stuff around it, the other end of your broken dowel, you cut it in half. You could use the other end of it to help you poke things. Knitting needle. Preferably not something that's too pointy, so you don't make holes. This piece here needs stuffing in it. Stuff and stuff until you can't get any more. Work around all the sides of your thimble, your spool. pull it out and just leave the dowel in there if you need the room. I could still get my finger up in the middle of it, so I know I could still get that spool in there. Still need a little bit more down in her cheeks and her nose area. A little bit more here and here. Okay. Now I'm going to put this dowel back in. And push it up. Doesn't need to go up all the way. Now I'm going to stuff around her neck here. I'm leaving, notice I'm not putting this up above this place. Once the body is in place, there's also a neck on the body part that's going to overlap that, but that goes down to about here. You can see it goes down pretty far, but it needs to. So so now I'm going to put some stuffing around this post. You want to push it in there. Get some good padding. When I started out making cloth dolls way back when I was in high school, maybe even before that. And this was always the hardest part, was the neck, because it was the weakest part. And the doll, you could have a nice looking doll and be well stuffed, but after a little while, the head would flop. Now, you know, you can put an armature in a doll, and that helps. But you got to make sure that use an armature that's not going to hurt somebody. If it's a child going to be using this, you don't want it. You don't want it poking through, so you wouldn't want to use a metal armature. You can use a plastic one and make those, but they also tend to wear out over time too. They're usually beads that pop together, and they will unpop. But that's better than nothing. So this doll, I decided to use a wooden dowel to make, and the dowel becomes the doll's backbone. It strengthens the neck, and it also gives a place for her neck to swivel, but it also works as a backbone for the doll. Now, this is just about stuffed. Not getting much more in here. Okay. Now when you get it the way you want it, however it is, the way you want it, not going to go away. That's better. No, it's not better. It's better the way I had it first. I have to check on that. See why it's getting a little bubble there. The hair will take care of that, but all right. So it's a nice solid head. You can't feel where the top of the dowel is. There's enough padding there. All right. So there's a couple things you can do. One would be to wrap it around with string, but I'm going to glue it. And that's not to say I might not wrap it with string as well, but so I'm just going to peel the fabric up here a little bit and make sure all this stuffing is in. Because it's only going to get in the way of the glue. And I'm going to put glue around the bottom of this, not this part, but the bottom of the spool itself, about a quarter of an inch up from the bottom of that. And then pull this back down over it. press it. Pull it down and press it. And then I'm going to wrap thread around it. I've got it glued in place. I'll hold it for a minute or two. All right. Okay, so it's about the middle. You could use dental floss for this and really like using dental floss for this. And I'm going to put a knot. I'm going to put a knot there. And then I'm just going to wrap it around pretty tight. This at the very bottom, both directions. And then make another knot. This is a nylon cord. I don't like this. All right, let's try this again. Once, twice. There you go. And again. Okay, so here's your head, and it turns here on this. All right, so we're just going to put that aside for a few minutes while we do the body.